Nice to see everybody. Happy Sunday. I was worried about you guys. I figured maybe some of you might not have remembered about the daylight savings time. Yeah, we're still doing that. I don't know why. But I got caught off guard a little bit too. I woke up this morning and I looked at the clock and I'm like, that's weird. How come my clock's an hour behind schedule here? So what's going on? And lo and behold, yep, we're springing forward. So how's everybody doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm glad to see everybody here today. Today is show 244. I'm playing this little Telecaster that I really love. The reason why I'm playing this one today is because it's to remind myself to change the strings. They're getting a little bit rubber bandy sounding. But there's still some adjustments that I have to make. The strings have to be lowered a little bit. You know how it is with the temperature change and all of that. Sometimes there's a little bit of sway in the neck. Things move a little bit. And this one looks like it got the relief got a little bit deeper. So I'm going to take it up just a little bit after I change the strings on it. Went crazy with strings yesterday. Happened to swing by a music store and pick up a few packs of strings. Make sure I'm not running low. And gonna be doing some maintenance work later on. So, how's everyone today? I kind of briefly jumped into the chat before I came live, and I know you guys were talking about a couple of things. I don't see the chat once I'm doing the show, so I have to go back to your comments while you guys were waiting. And I noticed that, let's see, Shane says he got no new gear, got a new strap this week for his Ibanez RG421EX. And that's always cool. It's always nice to have a nice, comfortable strap. Do you guys like to go with the expensive straps or the cheap ones? What do you guys normally get? Do you go like full-blown leather, pleather, plastic? What do you guys usually choose for straps? Just asking for a friend. Jack wanted to know what my thoughts were on the new Epiphone Joe Bonamassa guitar, 1955 with P90s. A few people have asked me about that guitar already. I think not last week, but maybe the week before. I think it came up in conversation. Pretty nice guitar, I say. Excuse me. If you're in the market for an Epiphone with P90s, nice choice. I think the thing I like about that guitar most is the color. Really nice color. I think it's only offered in one color as far as I know. It's copper, iridescent copper, so it's like a copper sparkle. And yeah, I like it. Most people that I've talked to about this guitar seem to like it. I think the only issues with it, I think it doesn't have a bone nut. I think it has like some kind of plastic nut or something like that. And I think the material for the neck is laurel. So sometimes you might get one where the neck is a little bit lighter in color. And I think sometimes that's one of the things that bothers people a little bit, but you can always darken that up if you find it to be an issue. As far as the neck profile, I'm not sure if that's a fat neck on that one because I haven't tried it. I know they call it a rounded C, and usually a rounded C is less bulky than, well, hard to say. Look, I went to the guitar shop this week, actually yesterday, and I was looking at the Dave Grohl model that they had there, also an Epiphone model. Nice color, has sparkle in it as well, and but it was selling for like over $1,000 here. I think it was almost 1,008 or something like that. Pretty expensive for an Epiphone, and although it looked very nice, I grabbed the neck and it was really, to me, it was too bulky, you know. And I don't mind having guitars that have bulkier necks, but you know, I'm leaning towards the slimmer necks these days. Nice to have a combination of both, but I kind of prefer the slimmer necks. So that's the thing that I would say. You know, you got to check it out. See if you like the neck profile on that signature model. And also, what I would probably recommend, guys, if you're gonna buy a signature model like that, you know, maybe just wait. They're gonna pop up eventually on the used market. You could probably get them for a better deal. If you're really itching for them and you want it now, then yeah, go for it, man. It looks like a solid guitar. I don't know if any of the new Epiphones really have issues. I think they're pretty solid guitars all around. Again, I wish they would put the same headstock that they have on the Gibsons, on the Epiphones, you know, like Fender does with their Squier models. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. Pretty sure Gibson has other ideas there. So yeah, that's what I think about that model. I think it's pretty cool. Now, obviously, if you're into the P90s, and the reason why you want to get that model is because it has P90s, there are other models available. You can also check out Edwards. They make really nice. I have one in the case over here. A really nice Edwards gold top with P90s as well. And that one also has a little bit of a beefier neck on it. I think I've shown that guitar before. I can show it to you after if you want to see it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Was there any other questions? SB says, just came to say hello. My mom has a birthday today, so wish your mom a happy birthday, SB. Moms come first. No issues there. He says he was shopping for some pedals. Nothing exciting, just a couple of $100 pedals. And let's see who else had a comment here. Mark says he bought a custom shop script Phase 90. Had a cheap phaser and wanted to upgrade. Well, nice purchase there. Everybody needs a Phase 90 in their life, I think. Those script models are great, by the way. And Steven says, I picked up my next inlay project yesterday. It's an Ovation copy by Kaman with a finish crack from the bridge to the edge. I'm planning on covering the crack with a rose, maybe. Plays nice. Very cool. Nice to see that you're repurposing guitars and giving them some love. That's awesome, man. So yeah, a lot of comments here. Let's see. Okay, well, first let's start from the top for the newcomers. I don't know if there's any new faces here today. I haven't scrolled down the list yet, but if there are, just note that Addicted to Gear, all about guitars and gear, guitar infatuation, if you want to call it that, obsession, hoarding, as some people would refer to it as, but it's basically the love of guitars, gear, instruments, music, you know, all of the above. So if you suffer from that ailment, then you're in the right place. We normally get together for our support sessions, I call them, every Sunday, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And sometimes we switch it up, but not that often. Usually the 10:30 block is where we meet. So if you guys are available in the morning on Sundays, mark it on your calendar, jump in. Don't be shy to chat and ask questions. And, you know, the questions are not necessarily just directed to me. They could be directed to the group. And we have a great group of people here. So, you know, don't be shy. And of course, if you have a question that is directed to me, please put a question mark in front of your question so I can spot it right away. And that way I'll be able to answer it. I try and answer as many questions as I can. Either with right answers or with wrong answers. You get what you pay for, folks. All right, so that's cool. Let's say hi to a few people that are here today. We got Eddie Jr., D-Mac, Steven, Vox, Peter, Paul, Jeff, Mark, Rick, Cushman, Presley, Music and Gear. Nice group of people. Welcome, everybody. We've been doing this for 244 sessions. Today's number 244. The channel's going pretty good. You know, an update to the channel. I think channel keeps growing thanks to your subscriptions. So obviously, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It always helps. And of course, if you're here today and you give us a thumbs up, that encourages me as well to keep on doing this. And it's a labor of love, you know. It's something that I like to do because I like to share, and I think you guys are here for the same reasons. So let's start talking. By the way, the channel is just under 36,000 now. We're getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely we'll hit 36, maybe even today. Who knows? So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Make those numbers move. All right. So questions first. You guys go first. Who's got some questions for me this morning? Anybody? Anybody got new gear? Anybody has something they want to share? Boomerang says, why do the newer Fender standard Telecaster ship with 1 3/16 spacing as opposed to 1 1/16 spacing? That's a great question, and I'm not sure what the answer is to that. Maybe it's a choice Fender made along the way for whatever reason. Does that make a huge difference to you? I know these little fractions of changes that are made on a guitar don't seem like much. Like somebody's gonna say, you know, like we're talking what, 2/16 of an inch difference or whatever it is. What's the difference? Sometimes, you know, a fraction of a millimeter makes a huge difference in the feel of a guitar. I know for me, like when I'm setting up a guitar, I can already tell when a guitar is not set up like the other one. Like I play my guitars, and just by feel, I can say, oh, this one's off. You know, I try to set up my guitars in the same way, and I can pretty much tell almost immediately when a guitar is, the height of the strings are off, the radius or the curvature of the neck is off. You know, those type of things. If the strings are a little bit too high off the fretboard, in a matter of seconds, I can tell. It might take more than a few seconds to figure out what the issue is, you know, from a technical standpoint, but generally I'm pretty fast at identifying the issues. So yeah, those little fractions of a millimeter do make a huge difference. I don't know what the answer is to that question. Unfortunately, I know, you know, Fender make changes to their guitars all the time, so they must have decided that spacing was better for whatever reason. And DMAC also says, hi Tony, you commented on neck size, which I was going to ask about. I've been leaning more towards thinner necks lately. Ditto, same here, DMAC. A year ago, I was into chunkier necks, maybe just a phase. More than likely, it's just a phase. You know, I go in phases too quite a bit, and I think it's a normal thing. You tend to, you know, lean towards something and then switch over to something else. Like, you know, sometimes I'm in the Telecaster phase, and sometimes I'm in the Les Paul phase or the PRS phase or that kind of thing. But I think the SG that I got recently, the last one, just spoiled it for me because it's got a really, really comfortable thin neck. And ever since that guitar, I've been kind of preferring the thinner necks. And most of my guitars don't have really thick necks. There's maybe just one or two that have a chunkier neck on them. The rest are a little bit, they're pretty much mid to thin, I would say. So yeah, I think it's a normal thing, DMAC. I wouldn't worry about it, but it's nice to have the ability to switch between different neck profiles like that. One thing I don't like as much, I have to say, when it comes to neck profiles, I don't mind chunkier necks, but I don't like chunkier necks that seem to have, like I like, how can I put this? I like the C shape better than the D shape. So if I have a chunky C, I like that better than a chunky D. You know, it bothers me less if you know the difference. Tire Warrior says, good morning, friends. And he says, how many guitars is too many? Tire Warrior, we don't talk about that here. The first rule of Addicted to Gear is you don't talk about how many guitars is too many. We'll let that one slide, okay? Just kidding, just kidding. It's a personal thing. For some, one is too many. Let's see here. Max is here. He says, hey, Max, how's it going? I just got a new Strat. He says, love it. Nebula Noir, player 70th edition. Congratulations. Nice guitar. Now, I have to ask, is that your first Strat? Here, you know, with the people that are normally joining in on the chat, I don't know how many guitars people have, but most people here probably have more than one. So that's why I need to ask, like, is that your first Strat? Is that your 7th Strat, your 10th Strat? It's always a surprise answer around here. Eddie says the Eric Johnson Soft V was the nicest neck I ever played. A lot of people really do like those Eric Johnson Strats. Those are very, very well received Strats. So the neck probably has a lot to do with it, yeah. I always say the neck is really the part of the guitar that sells it. No matter how nice the guitar is, if the neck doesn't really jive with you, you're not going to bring that guitar home. Or if you are going to bring it home, it's going to be temporary. So Max says it's got a rosewood board, real bone nut, pure vintage 59s, 749 with an 8% kickback. Nice. First of all, rosewood board, it's a must. You know, the Laurel stuff will pass in a pinch, but I think real rosewood or some type of rosewood board is really the way to go. Real bone nut, yes, that's a plus for sure. That's another box ticked. And pure vintage 59s, can't go wrong with those. Tire Warrior says one for each tuning at least. Yeah, I would say so. Do you know how many tunings there are? A lot. So Max says it's his 3rd Strat. 2 rosewood, 1 maple. Nice. What do you prefer, Max? Rosewood or maple when it comes to Strats? I like both, but I tend to lean more towards rosewood for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'm just more of a rosewood guy. I think most of my guitars behind me are rosewood necks, have rosewood necks, including this one here. So yeah, rosewood is my go-to for whatever reason. Dan says, my Vox AC30 has been sounding scratchy as of late. Have you tried a Ricola? Just kidding, Dan. Chips, he says clips, not chips. Clips at high volume, change tubes, cabinet, no difference. Output transformer? It could be. Could also be just a bad cable, bad wire. It could be a bad solder joint, a cold solder joint. It could be a million things, Dan. Hard to say. Yeah, it's really hard to say unless I would like see it in action, see what's causing it, and try and diagnose the issue. It's almost trial and error, you know. Change guitar. Don't assume it can't be the guitar also, you know, but it's less than likely it's going to be the guitar if you've tried that guitar with other amps and it works fine. But sometimes, you know, a scratchy pot or an intermittent switch can also cause issues like that. But so I would try, you know, change the guitar first. Make sure you don't have any pedals or anything plugged in. Cable, change the cable. Even try to see if it makes noise with no guitar plugged into the cable. Just plug in a cable and hold the end so it makes a humming sound. Turn everything up to 10 when the cable is off. Turn everything up to 10 and see if it makes noise when everything is maxed out, and see what happens there. And maybe you can sort of troubleshoot it that way and eventually find what the issue is. It's not fun when you start having issues with an amplifier like that, I know. So many different things, but if you have a good tech in your area, that's probably the best bet. They can put it on a scope. They can figure out what the issue is. You know, I can find my way around a guitar. I kind of could troubleshoot certain things, but I'm not necessarily an amp technician. And I don't recommend anybody puts their hands inside amps when they're open. There's power in there that can definitely fry you. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's best to bring it to a technician. What's the Telecaster you have here? This is a custom built Telecaster that I put together. It's basically a Fender because it's got all Fender parts on it. But it's kind of like my custom built. So I call this kind of like a Tony custom shop guitar, which I really love. It's a nice guitar. I don't know why I always have like a heavy sound when I do the Sunday shows, but it doesn't seem right for a Telecaster. I can kind of clean it up with the volume here, but D-Max says, I went away for a week. There was some wacky winter weather at home. When I got home, my two Strats really were affected. Next move, strings higher. Other guitars, Gibson, weren't affected. Why do you think that is, D-Mac? Were the Strats in a different area? Were they locked up in a closet or something where maybe there was a bit more moisture? I do notice that some guitars do get affected by temperature changes more than others. It's funny. I come back here, some guitars I'll grab off the rack and they're perfect. They're very stable. And other guitars, they're all out of whack for whatever reason. So they're not all the same. I guarantee you that. Vox says, so it's a Canadian Fender, not an Indonesian. No, it's not an Indonesian. No, exactly. It's like a custom shop, except it's not going to cost you $6,000. I call it the Tony Custom Shop. And yes, Steven. You can get them as heavy and as mellow sounding or spanky sounding as you want. Telecasters are very versatile instruments. I would say they fit right between a Strat and a Les Paul, because you can get that chunky Les Paul sound out of it too that really cuts through the mix. That's what I really like about Telecasters. You never have trouble being heard when you're in the mix. And you can get it to sound spanky, or you can get it to sound heavy, or all that kind of stuff, It's pretty cool. The Warrior says, Tony, thank you for your tutorial on leveling and polishing frets. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad it's helping you out. Some people have commented on that video. It's been around for a long time. It's gotten a lot of views. And that's just my method, guys. I know a lot of people will comment on those type of videos to say, hey, you should do it this way. You should do it that way. I'm not saying my way is the only way of doing it. It's just how I do it. And I appreciate the comments, and people do have, have pointed out some things that I can take into consideration and make my leveling procedure better. But, it's worked for me for many years, and that's how I like to do it. So it seems to work for many other people because a lot of people like that video. So I'm glad it helps. Rick says, Tony, drop a lace sensor kit into that Telecaster. Low noise, but can be pushed. Rick, I've never actually invested in lace sensor pickups. Ever. I don't know if they would be for me. I would have to try them, but they're not cheap. And the noise doesn't really bother me. Some people feel like the noise could be an issue. For me, it doesn't really bother me. Like I always say, once the drummer kicks in, what's the difference? Plus, if the noise does become an issue, you can always just get a noise gate and eliminate that or minimize that. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a lace sensor guy. I would have to try and get back to you, Rick. Not sure about that. I'm not convinced. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I like the typical regular pickup sound. I once tried those Area 51 pickups that were they're supposed to be noiseless, and I didn't like the sound of them. There was something missing in terms of just overall oomph on those pickups. So I tried them for a while, and then I just took them out and I went back to regular pickups. Maybe it's just me. I'm not sure. All right. I'm just scrolling to see if I missed any question marks. So Paul has a suggestion. Paul's our resident, I would say, pedal guru here, and always has a cool suggestion every week. Paul says the new Wampler Cryptic Fuzz, a fuzz for guys who hate a fuzz. Covers fuzz face, tone bender, and muff, all glitch and drop. Only what? Free 200 USD. First of all, Paul, I did notice the launch of that new fuzz this week, and I did watch a video on it as well, right from Wampler. Seems like a cool pedal. Again, I'm on the fence about fuzz pedals. I don't know what it is, but it's like I don't always feel I need a fuzz, and the times that I have used fuzz, like I actually built my own fuzz face at one point from a kit, was cool, but I ended up selling it because I didn't really use it much. You know, I'm interested in checking out the Behringer fuzz bender just out of curiosity to see what it sounds like. But a fuzz pedal is not something that I have on normal rotation on my board. I don't usually reserve a spot on my board for a fuzz for whatever reason. I just don't, because I don't use it much. So I don't know if if I'd be a candidate for that the Wampler pedal, but it looks cool for anybody that is interested in fuzzes and looking for one. Good choice, because you have like it's basically a 3-in-1 type thing. DMAC wants to know if I'm familiar with the DiMarzio chopper pickup. Thinking of popping one in the bridge position on a Strat. No, I'm not actually familiar with that. DiMarzio chopper, you say? Let me take a look. You know, from the pickups that I've tried, I would say that I'm more of a Seymour Duncan guy. I haven't really bonded with a lot of DiMarzio pickups. The chopper here, I'm just looking at it now. Okay, so it's I figured it would be something like that. It's like a rail pickup. So basically it's just giving you more power, more mids, lower end, bigger sound. Yeah, that could be an interesting option for a customized Strat, I would say. It's kind of what Charvel did on their model that has the 3 single coils. They're 3 single coils, but I think they're all rails like that. And they could maybe even be made by DiMarzio. I'm not really sure. So these are ceramic pickups. They're not necessarily using any type of, like Alnico magnets on this. It's basically ceramic. And it's not extremely hot from what I can see here. 9.16. Yeah, it looks like it's going to give you more low mids, more high mids. Could be interesting. I'd be curious to see how it works out for you if you try it out. That's one thing I haven't tried on my Strats, a rail pickup. I should try one. Maybe what I'll do, and I'm open to suggestions, guys. If you have any suggestions for any kind of mods or any kind of videos that you'd like me to try, like me to do, let me know. I'd be more than happy to oblige. You know what? Maybe what I'll do, because I've been meaning to do this, by the way. Here, let me just put my guitar down here for a sec. I'm just going to show you another guitar. There's a guitar that I gotta be careful because there's wires and stuff all over the places and straps and all that. So this guitar, I reviewed this guitar not long ago. This is it's an interesting guitar because it's very inexpensive. It's made by Donner. And it's the Versa Sonic, not Versa with an S, but Versa with a Z. And it's basically, I'm going to say, a guitar that fits between the Ibanez, the Charvel, a typical super strat type guitar. The bridge pickup is pretty cool. The middle and neck position pickup are okay, but this would be a very good modding platform, I think. Let me just plug it in. And maybe, you know, throwing in one of those blade pickups or something might do the job. Let me just see if it's in tune here. It's probably not. I haven't really played it this week. I'm just going to tune it up here. So there are some guitars like that that can be made really, really fun to play with a couple of minor upgrades. And there's a few different companies that make those blade pickups. I'm not sure if they would work best in the middle position. So that's the bridge. Let's do so you can see it sounds pretty decent. It also has a nice coil tap for this guy, so you can split the coil on the bridge. And there's not a huge difference. Like, listen to this. So it has a little bit more cut when it's split, and it's a bit fatter when it isn't. So it's pretty decent for a guitar, and locking tuners and everything, roasted maple neck. It has the contour body, and I even like the color of the body on this thing. So I think it's a keeper. We're gonna see how long it lasts, but I think it's a keeper. Mississippi Blue says, Tony, watched a video recently on decking a trem on a Strat. They removed the strings and claw to cut down on rattles, but did not explain what you do with the earth wire. I'm not really following here, because you're saying they removed the springs and claw. Well, they had to do something else. You can't just remove the springs and the claw. A lot of people that deck their Strats, they just do it with, they don't remove the strings or claw. They just screw the claw all the way in. So the trem is basically decked on the body of the guitar, and you can still, if you force it, you can still probably lift it up a little bit, but it's decked so far in that usually it won't move. And if you really want to be sure that thing's not going to move, some people will even put a little block of wood between the bridge block in the back and the edge of the inside of the cavity, so that it won't move. And in that way, you don't even have to touch the earth wire. You just leave it there. So I don't know exactly what they were doing, but it's not necessarily the way I would do it. I would have to see the video. Yeah. Oh, Rick, I almost forgot. Rick is our one of our viewers here, and he's in the house. And Rick is selling what he calls Dad Rock Socks, and he wanted me to show a picture of it. I don't have a picture right here, Rick. Can you? Well, you might not be able to do that. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find this quickly. And if you guys are interested, you can buy these cool socks from Rick. Rick can give you, he can provide the contact information for where he can take your orders. But basically, they're really cool socks. I don't have the, Rick, I don't have the thing right here. Can you send it? Can you send over the picture and I'll show it, please? I don't have it right under my fingers right now. But anyway, what I'm trying to describe is Rick here, Rick with a K, is selling these cool, what he calls Dad Rock Socks, and they're basically socks that have a whole bunch of really cool logos of all the classic rock bands and stuff like that. And you know, he's offering them up for sale. I think he'll tell you exactly how much they are. Yeah, $9, free shipping. All you gotta do is contact him. They look pretty cool. Rock socks, can't go wrong. If you're gonna wear socks, might as well be rock socks. So Rick, if you can send that to me, I'll show a picture before the end of the show, okay? All right. Music and Gear says, I have seen this before. They removed the spring due to the spring noise, but you can leave them and use a cloth or something to dampen the springs. If you're interested in looking at how to dampen the noise on strings, I have a video on that. And the way I did it was twofold. I actually put something between, like through the strings, the springs, and then I wrapped the springs in shrink wrap loosely. And that does it. That'll get rid of the noise. There's a lot of different ways to attack it, but if you want to see how I did it, I can put up the video here if I can find it for you guys. But don't be shy, guys, to go into my archive, because there's a lot of video content, and a lot of those messy workbench videos that I have will show you some tips on how to do certain things. Let me see if I can quickly find it for you guys. Sometimes I have trouble finding my own videos because there's so many in there. And to be honest with you, the search function that YouTube offers is not very good. So let me see if I can find it. It was a while ago, but I know it's there. Gotta find it. Searching. How old is that video? I don't even remember when I... If anybody can find it before I can, please share the link. But it's in there, I know. Man, it must be quite old, that video. I've been making a lot of videos, guys. So anyways, I'm going to find it later. I'm not going to waste time looking for it now, but it's in there. Just go through my videos and you'll find it. A lot of videos. Well, I'm going to try one last thing here. Here we go. Found it. How to fix annoying tremolo spring noise for good. That's the one. And let me share it. Let me share the link. So you can try some of the things I suggest in this video if you wanna see it. All right. So Rick sent some pictures here. Let's see if I can I? One sec. I'm gonna try and get Rick's pictures up here. Man. Hold on. Don't freak out. It's because Rick, you sent them on Instagram, so I would have to, let me just download these guys. Because Instagram doesn't allow me to airdrop them to my computer, so it's a little bit hard to see. You know what? I'll just show them to you this way. Check them out. Pink Floyd socks. Really cool. Comes in a nice little Pink Floyd box. And he's got a whole bunch of other ones as well here. I don't know if you can see them or not. But basically you have, what do you have? Slayer, Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, Pink Floyd, Ozzy, Bowie, AC/DC, and maybe even has more. So if we didn't mention your favorite band, just reach out to Rick in the chat and he'll set you up. Always cool to have some cool socks on, right? Changes your entire day. Puts a spring in your step when you wake up in the morning and you put on your cool rock socks, you know? All right. Another question here says, Mississippi Blue says, TPS video, Mick used a block of wood and removed the springs and claw to cut out any rattles. But what are you supposed to do with the earth wire? Typically, you're supposed to put the earth wire on the claw. So if you don't put it on the claw, you would have to put it on the bridge somehow. If there's no claw and there's no springs, probably you would have to attach it to a piece of metal. And the only other option would be your bridge. So Martin wants to know, are those socks made in Canada? Yeah, it is true because, you know, if they're not made in Canada, us Canadians are most likely going to also be paying tariffs because our government is, you know, counter-tariffing the American tariffs, and it's a whole nightmare. So maybe you guys can order them before the tariffs kick in. I think we have another month or so of leeway there. That brings another that brings up another question. The other question is, are you guys ready for the prices to go up? Because I think with all this crazy tariff talk, and, you know, I don't think either side is right. I think prices are going to go up. We're going to see prices going up on guitar and gear and stuff like that soon. So if you're going to be, you know, buying stuff, don't be surprised. I've already started asking around just to see what the consensus is in terms of music stores, and they're like, yeah, the prices are going to go up. So not great for us. Not great for us. So Rick confirms the socks are not made in the States. So we're not really sure where they're made, but they're not made in the States. So I don't know if that helps. And Music and Gear says, that means order the custom shop Tony Telecaster before this happens. Yeah. Yeah. So either you guys are going to be in crazy buying mode before the tariffs happen, because the inventory that stores already have are technically not going to be hit by tariffs. But when they place a new order, those will be. So you still have a little bit of time. Also, some of you might just be hanging on to your stuff and saying, you know what, if prices are going to go up, I might as well just hang on to my stuff. Maybe, you know, not sell those guitars that I intended to sell right away. Wait a little bit, see what happens with the markets, and then maybe sell and make a few pennies more, you know? That's another option. Only time will tell, guys, but it's crazy times indeed. Casey Lee says, I'm headed to my mom's house who's not been well, but I'll listen to you as I drive. It's about 40 minutes away. Thanks, Casey. I appreciate that. And send your mom good vibes from all of us, please. I hope she will be doing better. I hope she's feeling okay today. Like I always say, moms come first. Casey Lee says, there are no tariffs at pawn shops. It's true. And no tariffs on the used market as well. Again, as long as people don't jack up the prices. There is a poll question today. And the poll question was basically a question that I thought about and came up with yesterday, because I've been thinking about what I've been doing this week. And the question was, you know, have you been tempted, or have you bought a guitar, an amplifier, pedal, whatever it is? Have you bought something, decided to sell it for whatever reason, you didn't bond with it, and then later on decided to rebuy it, to give it another try, let's say down the road, and then really liked it? The reason I'm asking is this. I mean, I've been through that, you know, ping pong decision-making type scenario before, where I've, you know, sold gear and then later on said, like maybe for whatever reason I wasn't in the right state of mind, or didn't have the right gear at the time, didn't know any better, and decided that that pedal or guitar or amplifier was not for me, where in fact maybe it was, and I didn't realize it then, but maybe I'm going to realize it now. So this is something that I have done, and I've almost been tempted this past week to do something similar, albeit not exactly the same amplifier, but it's an amplifier brand that I've tried before. I've done that a few times with brands, like I'll buy a Mesa Boogie amplifier, for example, and I'll try a bunch of different ones. So I have returned to a brand many times, only to really come to the conclusion that the brand is not necessarily my thing. That I have done. But a specific guitar, amplifier, or pedal, it'll happen most likely with pedals, not so much with other things. But this week I was actually tempted by a Supro. And I've had a Supro amplifier in the past, but I was actually looking at another version of the Supro lineup, and I was looking at the they have a Supro Black Magic Reverb, which is really cool if you're into the Jimmy Page sound, because Jimmy Page was known to be using Supro amplifiers, the original Supro amplifiers, back in the day with his Telecaster, and that's kind of the Led Zeppelin 1 sound that you hear, sort of edge of breakup, not necessarily uber gain on those amplifiers, and that amplifier is only 25 watts, but I had a Supro in the past, not that specific model, sold it, although it was a really good amplifier. It was kind of a little redundant at the time. And lately I'm like, maybe I should try the new Supro Black Magic. It's not actually new, it's been around for a long time, but new to me. So I've been kind of thinking about it and saying maybe I should buy one of those and try them out. But I thought about it and I slept on it. Like I always say, it's always better to sleep on something before you make a hasty decision. And honestly, I think I could probably get close to the sounds that that amplifier would offer me with the stuff that I have here. So I said, you know what, it's probably not necessarily worth dropping, you know, 1,005, 1,006, whatever they're going for used right now, because I can probably get that tone elsewhere. You know, so I was curious to see if you guys felt the same way. So I'm gonna look at the poll question now. Usually I reserve the poll question to the end of the show, but I'll do it now. We'll switch things up a little bit here, and we'll jump into it a little sooner than we usually do. Doesn't mean the show's over or anything, guys. We're just gonna be looking at it and see what kind of results we've gotten so far. All right, so the options on this poll questions, and I'll read it out as it was written. Have you ever sold a guitar amp only to buy it back years later and love it? And the option was no. Once I part with something, there's no looking back. Second option was yes. Sometimes it takes time to realize you made a mistake. And third option was I'm a total hoarder. I never let go of anything. And the last option was other. Explain in the comments. So from what I can see here, not by a huge margin, but 35% of you said, yes, sometimes it takes time to realize your mistakes. So 35% of you felt that it has happened or it can happen. And then there's a tie between the first answer, which is no. Once I part with something, there's no looking back. 31% of you said that was your choice. And 31% of you said, I'm a total hoarder. I never let go of anything. So that's a tie. So it's either, you know, one or the other. And then there was a couple of other comments. So I'm going to look at the other comments here just for giggles. Somebody says, oh my God, I voted hoarder only to find out that category is in the lead. I'm in the right channel. I think I'm somewhat of a hoarder too. So there's a little bit of that going on with me as well. Someone here says, I bought pedals over. I've done the same. Someone else says, only once. Selmer Thunderbird Twin 30, still my favorite, very heavy. And another member of the group said, I traded an old Gibson Melody Maker for a Hagstrom 12 string. I was only 17 and didn't know any better. I never sold another guitar. I have, however, given 5 guitars away as gifts, most recently a brand new Fretlight FG 200D to my older brother Frank. And then finally someone says, not sure how to answer this. I've bought multiple of the same guitar, but never regret flipping so far. Just had an opportunity to buy a duplicate and took it. So I think if you're like buying a guitar to sell it or flipping guitars, then you would most likely probably, you know, end up buying multiples of the same guitar because you've probably had a good experience with those guitars, and why not continue the trend? But I'm talking about more, you know, for your own personal use, if there's something that you've purchased and then sold and then bought again. Jeff says he's owned the Strymon Riverside 3 times. So Jeff, what's causing you to go back and forth? Michael Kidd said, good morning, Tony, and all you gear lovers. This is looking to be a habit, watching live. Oh, Michael, there's worse habits. I encourage this kind of habit. And Shane says, feel free to give me guitars as gifts. Those are the best gifts. I've never once received a guitar as a gift. I mean, unless you consider my very first guitar, because my very first guitar was purchased by my mom. So technically it was a gift. And Stuart says, regret selling 2 Eastman guitars. E10SS/V acoustic and a T486. Yeah, those are great guitars, Stuart. You know, the Eastman I have, I don't think I want to sell it. There's no reason to. It's really a great guitar. What else can you say about buying and selling gear except that there is going to be some redundancy built in? I considered at one point, and I came very close to repurchasing the only Mesa Boogie amp that I liked, that I felt like I bonded with, and it was the Electrodyne, which I had the head version of for a long time. Ended up selling it, and only after many years I found myself searching for another one. And I said, you know what? It might be good to rebuy that one because they've dropped in price. Unfortunately, that particular Mesa Boogie head or amp didn't do well. It didn't last long. It kind of was like Mesa Boogie kind of took a left turn there with that particular model and went more the Marshall sound. And I think that's why I actually liked it more. But in the scope of things, I guess their client base didn't really like the fact that they were deviating from the typical Mesa Boogie sound, and it didn't sell very well, and it was discontinued rather quickly. But because of that, you can get them for relatively cheap, and they're great sounding amplifiers, and they have a great reverb, a real reverb in there, and it does the Marshall thing, and it could even give you that nice clean sound as well. And so I was looking at it again, decided again not to do it. I slept on it, came to my senses, but you never know when it's going to happen. You know, it could sneak up on you at any time. Jeff says, I keep seeing other people getting so much out of it, then I get it again and it doesn't work for me. Yeah, you know, I've done the same. I've purchased, for example, the Boss EQ pedal. I've had one, sold it. I'm sure I'm going to buy another one eventually. I have other EQ pedals here, but those Boss pedals are good. They sound good, and they last forever. I probably will buy another one. I think I bought the Carbon Copy MXR delay pedal twice, and I don't have that one anymore. Other than that, I mean, I do buy like Strats and Telecasters. If you can consider them being the same guitar, well then I definitely have multiples of those, but I don't have multiples of the same guitar necessarily. There's always something a little different about them. Hey guys, if you don't mind, give us a thumbs up. We have 4950 people here, 32 thumbs up. Would appreciate it if you can tell me that you're still there and listening to me and everything's good and you like what you're hearing. That always is encouraging. One thing that I wanted to bring up today, just as a FYI, Steve Vai is a cool dude. I've been watching him for a long time, and he's turned into a very philosophical fellow. He's done a lot of video chats with other people on YouTube recently, and he's always very introspective. He has a lot of introspection on his career, his self, and he's had a lot of struggles along the years with different things as well. And he always provides great advice. But most recently I saw something, and it really made a lot of sense, obviously, because it's very straightforward and simple in terms of advice, but sometimes we don't remember or think about that. And he says, before swapping out your amp or guitar, pay close attention to how you're playing. He says, a complete rethink of his own picking style helped him find his tone in the 80s. So a lot of times we're quick to judge, we're quick to move and say, well, if there's something wrong with the tone or the my playing, it must not be me. It must be the pickups, the strings, the guitar, the amp, the cable, and so on and so forth. But we rarely look at our playing, and I think it's very honest, from the heart advice, where it's like, he's telling most of us guys most of the time, you can resolve any of these issues just by concentrating and making your playing better. So I think that's always something that we should keep at the front of our minds when we're playing our guitar, and say, like, maybe less focus on the other things that we can't necessarily change. Let's focus on the stuff that we can change, and that's our technique or playing. So I think that was good advice, and I wanted to share that with you guys today, just to remind, because we get distracted. These channels are all about gear, and it's easy to focus on gear and let our practice or playing or technique slip. We can all do much better if we would spend more time playing and practicing, which we obviously don't do as much as watching YouTube. And I shouldn't say that coming from somebody that creates content, but it's true, and I'm trying to be honest here, and I think I could that advice also applies to me, by the way. So it's not just you guys, it's across the board. So that's something that I should actually have as a mantra. Focus on you first, besides focusing on the external things that you really maybe don't have control over. Presley says, yeah, my playing was crap. Put on new strings and bam, shredding. Yeah, you got to tell us which strings you use, Presley, because I've done that many times and it hasn't worked for me so far. Wouldn't it be cool if, my playing was crap and I bought a new pick and bam, I can play all of those things now. Yeah, it doesn't work that way, does it? Unfortunately. It's funny because I had an interesting conversation when I was at the shop yesterday. I ran into a fellow that I recognize, and he's been around the the gear circuit for years and years. He's been working in stores across town for many, many years. So I recognized him and we started talking. He's about my age. And it's funny because he was saying, right away he starts saying, I'm like, how are things? It's like all the older music stores that were open around town slowly have been closing down or have been purchased by larger chains. And the first thing I noticed is that the feeling in the stores are not the same, because you don't have, there's a turnaround in employees, and there's not necessarily the familiar faces. And at the same time, the whole atmosphere, of that type of, how can I say, acquisition does affect the store and the vibes in the store. And he agreed with me 100%. He's like, yeah, the good old days are gone. You remember this guy? You remember that guy? You remember? I'm like, yeah, for sure. And he was saying, like, nowadays it's not the same. Kids obviously are not the same. They're not necessarily looking at spending time practicing guitar in their room anymore because they're busy online, and it's a whole different thing. So the older generation like us, I think, are kind of not a dying breed, because we're not dying, but it's, we don't see as much activity from the new generation. And I think that's also because we don't necessarily have a new guitar hero. Like we have the old guys, we had Eddie Van Halen, and, we have Slash, and we have David Gilmour, and we have all these old guys. But these old guys are not necessarily around for a long time. And some of them have retired, and some of them are not doing, are not as active as they once were. So I find like nowadays the new generation is not necessarily guitar-based music. So, what are the chances there's going to be another, guitar hero? There is the new generation, but they're not really getting airtime, For me, I freak over Matteo Mancuso. I think he's phenomenal in terms of his guitar playing, but I'm never going to hear him on the radio. So, unless you're going to go see these guys playing, they're not going to become the same type of guitar hero that we had in the past, like Eddie Van Halen and a few others. So, hey Rick, thank you for the super chat, dude. You didn't have to do that, man. I appreciate you, and what you're trying to do with the cool rock socks. And I hope the boys help you and give you a lot of orders, because we gotta support the dying, the dad rockers out there. We gotta unite. You know, that could be our thing. We can basically have, you know, matching socks. And that's how we can identify each other in a crowd. I'm joking. But it's a cool idea, Rick. I hope it works out for you, man. I like that note. Because you can do this. It doesn't sound the same. You got to put it in that one. That makes the whole difference right there. Oh, I have to talk about this. This is something that that made me kind of laugh. Apparently, you can, if you wanted to, you can be a roadie for Gene Simmons for a day, and it's only going to cost you $13,000. Gene is a master at making money, and he's going to be milking the whole Kiss thing and the whole Rockstar thing till he's in the grave, and maybe even beyond, I'm pretty sure. But I thought this was a joke when I first read it, but apparently it's not. So Gene Simmons is offering somebody to be a roadie for a day. You can, if Gene Simmons is your idol, and I'm sure he's got a lot of fans out there, you can pay $13,000. You can be his roadie for a day, and the experience entails all of the following. You will meet up with Gene and Gene Simmons band members, so not Kiss, obviously, whoever he's playing with today, early in the day, either at his hotel or designated location, to go over the band's show day schedule. You will be on the Gene Simmons band team crew for the entire day. You will get a Gene Simmons band crew member shirt and a hat. You will get a VIP laminated badge. You will have a meal with Gene Simmons at the hotel or backstage at the show. You will arrive and load in to the venue with the band. You will help the band set up the show. You will hang out backstage. You will sit on a sound deck. Gene Simmons will bring you on stage during the show and introduce you. You will get a set list signed by Gene Simmons. You can take photos throughout your entire experience. You may bring one guest. You may bring 4 items for Gene Simmons to sign. No instruments, no parts, nothing like that. And you get a Gene Simmons Kiss rehearsal used bass signed by Gene Simmons. And if that doesn't get you pumped up, just look at this photo showing you what you can get. So in the article, it just gives you a whole spiel about it. It's basically a sales pitch. So for $13,000, you get a shirt, you get a hat, you get to spend time with Gene Simmons, you get a bass, some kind of a bass, you can get some stuff signed. Is all that stuff worth $13,000? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure. But you know what? I'm not a Gene Simmons fan at all. At all. But if I was, maybe, maybe. Look, if it was, let's say, for example, I switch it around and, I look at my idol. Let's say it was $13,000 and you can spend the day with Eddie Van Halen or back in the day, or, Jimmy Page, for example, or David Gilmour, for example. Then, $13,000 is still a lot of money. But you get to meet your idol. Like, I would never get an opportunity to meet Jimmy Page. $13,000, spend a day with him, to a certain degree. Jimmy Page never signs anything. Very rarely signs stuff. So having something signed by Jimmy Page was, if it's 4 items signed by Jimmy Page as well as an instrument signed by him and played by him, that probably would be worth more than $13,000 if ever it got on, the used market or something like that after, God forbid, he passes, But Gene Simmons, I'm not sure. Eddie says, I wouldn't pay $13. And Stuart said, I'd rather hang with Ace and get a silver tone. Yeah, and some people are mentioning groupies. Do you get to sleep with Gene's groupies? I don't think you want to do that, Shane. I don't think you want to do that. It's probably going to cost you more than $13,000 in penicillin to get rid of whatever you bring home after that. Shane says, Jimmy Page liked my Instagram post. That's true. Last week, Shane mentioned to me that he had posted something on Jimmy Page's Instagram and he got a response. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if Jimmy Page is actually responding to his Instagram or if he's got people doing it for him, but it's cool nonetheless. I think that's cool. It's happened to me before, not Jimmy Page. I don't think it's been Jimmy Page. Probably not Jimmy Page. But I actually got a response, like an actual, like it wasn't just a thumbs up. It was somebody had typed something as a response, but I don't remember who it was. I'm trying to remember who it was, but it's some other rock star. And Shane says, Keith Richards would sign guitars using other people's names. That's smart. I like that. I just can't get over the Gene Simmons stuff. It's just like, the guy has pretty much merchandised everything. And I think the shocker for me was, like, I even saw, like, Kiss coffins. You know what I mean? But the guy's smart. He's made a very good living, and he's still making a living even after the band has broken up. So, yeah, why should I knock him? He's doing better than I am, that's for sure. What new songs are you guys working on, if any? I know we rarely talk about songs, mostly talk about gear and stuff like that. But are you guys working on learning any new songs? Anything, not necessarily new songs in the sense that new songs on the radio, but anything new you're working on? What are you listening to? Are you trying to learn anything at the moment that you're working on? And I only ask because I'm looking for ideas. I'm running low on ideas, and I would like to maybe focus on learning a couple of new things that I haven't actually spent time learning so far. One of the things that I've considered that I should learn, I've realized recently that Jeff Healey, Canadian artist that died way too early, but was an amazing guitar player and blind at that. If you guys don't know Jeff Healey, look him up, obviously. Roadhouse was a movie that he was in. So I really enjoyed his music, and I've been a fan of his for a long time. Really enjoyed his playing, his unique style of playing, lead playing, and all that kind of stuff. And I realized he's got a couple of really nice songs that I maybe should learn. One of the songs that I really like is Confidence Man. It's got some really nice chords in it. It's got a really nice lead playing in it. Not necessarily a difficult song unless you want to learn it note for note, especially the lead parts. But it's very doable in terms of a bar song or something like that. Maybe I have to take a closer listen to that song. Presley says, Comfortably Numb solo, note for note, one half done. That's a great song to learn. I think everybody should learn that solo. Comfortably Numb is beautiful. It's a great exercise in not necessarily overplaying and focusing on the bends, because he's got some really nice bends in that solo as well. And just focusing on the phrasing. Timing, very important too. Yeah, cool. Very cool. Vinny's learning Goat. It's got a lot of good ideas on how to use harmonics. David's learning Across the Universe. Yeah, nice song. Very nice. American Idiot and Lonely Boy from the Black Keys. That's quite a diverse trio of songs that you're trying to learn there, David. That's cool. I like to see people that don't necessarily stick to one style of music and try different things. Yeah, Gene, Jeff played sitting down, with his guitar in his lap. I know, and he was playing, you know, with his fretting hand flat like this, right? I don't know how he would do that, man. And the bends, I can't bend like that. My fingers are in the way when I'm bending. Oh my God, it sounds like a dead chicken. Let me try this. Yeah, that wouldn't work for me. I couldn't play that way. He would use his thumb too when he was playing that way, which was very cool to see. Vox says he met Jeff twice at the Welland Food Festival. And I hear he was a very humble guy, very down-to-earth guy. Is that true, Vox? Never had an opportunity to meet him. I'm surprised they haven't made a documentary on this guy yet. Long overdue. He's been, you know, he passed away a long time ago, and still, I don't think he's been given credit for what he's brought to the table, man. There was nobody doing that kind of stuff, at least not to his level, where it, you know, got airtime, radio time, TV time. Yeah. Vox says, I'm working on the live version of Wildwood Flower by Maybelle Carter. Yeah, man. So yeah, there's a lot of great songs out there to learn. One of the Led Zeppelin songs that I should actually spend some time learning, it wasn't one of my go-to songs. 10 Years Gone is beautiful. Has a lot of really nice chords in there, the alternate tuning. That was one of the highlights of Jimmy Page's playing on certain songs, like those songs where you listen to them when you were a kid and you're like, what the hell is he doing? Only to realize you can't play that song unless you're in alternate tuning, and then it all makes sense. But that's a beautiful song. A lot of beautiful chords in there. And it's got like the delicate beginning, and then it goes into the, you know, the rocking, you know, after the chorus you get into the rocking pace of the song and stuff. It's a nice song. Not necessarily their biggest or most well-known song, but as a guitarist, I think it's got a lot of opportunities to pick up some new things. We mentioned at the beginning the Epiphone, the Joe Bonamassa Epiphone with P90s. I think I have the Edwards Gold Top here. If you guys want to see it, I'll dig it up. Let me see if it's here. I could be mistaken because I've been moving stuff around in cases and whatnot. Sorry for the noise, guys. Let me just turn that off. Let me put this one down and see if I can find the other one real quick. Which one is it? Is it this one? It might be this one. It might be, but it might not be at the same time. Nope, wrong guitar. Let me try again. I could be mistaken, and it could be in a completely different case, guys. Like I said, I've been moving things around, so... Nope, not that one either. Oh well, I guess I don't have it here. It's actually... One second. No, I don't have it here, guys. Sorry. I'll just take this one. Sorry guys, I've been moving stuff around in cases. So the case that I used to have it in is here, but the guitar's in another case now. So I got a little bit bamboozled. I'll just plug this guy in. See if this guy's tuned. What are the odds that a Gibson is going to be in tune when you take it out of the case? Not much. But I played this one recently, so it's not completely off. But it's still, I'm going to say a quarter low, for whatever reason. There we go. Am I still in tuner mode here? Oh, the volume. Gibson always sounds like a Gibson, doesn't it? Jeff says Tony does have a problem. He's got guitars he can't find. Yeah. That is a problem. Nice fat sounding Gibson. This one is Gibson Les Paul Standard. I had to change the pickups on this one, and for the life of me I don't remember which ones they are. I think these are the Anthem pickups that I got. I think they sound pretty good. Shane says, is it okay to change only 4 strings on a 5-string bass? Can't find a low B string on in my area. It depends on how old the other strings are. Because what's going to happen if the old strings are really old and tarnished and all that kind of stuff, they're going to be dull. And when you change that 1 string, it's going to be bright. What you can do is you can use the old Eddie Van Halen trick. What he used to like, he didn't like the bright sounding strings, so he would boil the strings before putting them on. I used to do that when I was younger, and it actually does work. It takes that sparkly high end off the strings, so you can try that. Take the string, put it in a pot of boiling water, just boil it for a while, and then it should, you know, dull it out enough so you wouldn't see the difference all that much between the old and the new strings. So yeah, let me try and change this sound here. It's a little bit. I'm not sure what. I don't like this sound. Let's try something a little bit different here. Give me a sec. Let me try. Matchbox is always a nice. I also forgot to mention, guys, I picked up one of these recently, and I'm going to try to review this for you guys. Recently, I had done the triple threat and a couple of other ones that are in this style of pedal. I picked up this. This is a Flamma FG200, kind of in the same style as the triple threat, as well as the Legato that I reviewed last week. Same style. Not necessarily the same features and functions, but I wanted to show this to you guys because it's going to be coming up on an upcoming review shortly. I also have another cool item that I reviewed and will be posting probably tomorrow or maybe Tuesday, depending on if I can finish it up. And that's something that you guys will probably enjoy, especially if you're playing with a band. It's a specific type of piece of gear that I don't want to give too much away, kind of giving you a little surprise or something to look forward to, but that's coming on Tuesday, and keep your eyes open for that one. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up, guys, unless there's other questions. We've been going for an hour and a half today. 53 people still here. We can keep things going for a little longer if you want. I don't mind. If you guys have questions, let her rip. Otherwise, we can wrap them up. This guitar, by the way, no pickguard. I have a couple of Les Pauls, and these, for whatever reason, I decided not to put the pickguard on them. I have the pickguard, I just didn't install them. I think they look better without the pickguard. Some people prefer with. And these are relatively thin necks, I would say. They're very comfortable necks to play. Overall, very happy with this guitar. This guitar is a I can't read it because I'm in the dark here, but 2016 model. But I purchased it after 2016. It was a used guitar that I ended up I got this one in a trade. All right, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Jim says, agree on no pickguard. Yeah, I think so. For the time being, I'm going to leave it without the pickguard. Is it blood orange? Hard to say. I mean, it's a sunburst. It's not blood orange, it's sunburst. It just looks a little bit, in this light, I don't know if you can see it. It's a sunburst. It's not blood orange. You can see the back of it there. Really nice sounding guitar, not too heavy. I'm avoiding heavy guitars. Just decided no more heavy guitars for me. So I'm gonna, and that's about it. Actually, why am I playing with no volume? As you can see, it's already out of tune just with the bends I did before. I don't know. Can you guess which string is out of tune? I'm gonna put a little wager on that with you guys. It's gonna be the G string. There's something about the G string on the stupid. So E's good, A's good, D's good, G's low. It's always that G string. B's a little off, but not as much as the G. All right, that's better. That's better. It's very noisy, huh? Alright guys, I think that's it for today. I'm going to be playing, I got to go and play some music and practice a little bit more. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to let you guys carry on with your Sunday plans. Hopefully you guys have gotten a little inspiration to go pick up your guitar and practice a little bit more. And please mark your calendar for next Sunday, because we'll be back with some more gear talk, same time, same place. And if you guys have any questions along the way this week, take note of them. Take a little notepad, put it by your computer, write them down so you can share, and we can talk about those questions next week. And of course, if you pick up any new gear, we want to know about it, so don't be shy to share. I'm here for you guys, not only on Sundays, but the rest of the week as well with my gear reviews, so please tune in. and help make the channel a success. We're going to carry on next week with show number 245 and see where that brings us in terms of conversation and deviations from sideline conversations that happen. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. I really enjoyed the live show this week. I'm hoping that you guys have an excellent week, and we'll be back for more next week. All right, guys? Cheers. Keep on rocking, dudes. I appreciate you guys. Take it easy.